Thank you for sending your positive and uplifting words with us. And to launch our Empowering Equity Day, we have a panel discussion designed to showcase 3 gender-diverse funds and the aspiration of leading fund managers committed to gender-lens investing. I'm already looking forward to it. Please help me welcome Marjut Falkstedt, the CEO of the European Investment Fund, who will conduct the discussion and tell us more about the theme and panelists. Let's give a hand.
Thank you so much. There's nothing more inspiring than to start the day with thoughtful music. I think that was wonderful. So thanks for the organizers, you made it happen. I think we start with applause to the organizers, the EIB advisory, the EIF colleagues. Because, now first, let me start. Good morning to everybody. There is nothing more inspiring than to see the number of colleagues, partners and stakeholders in this room today. We have gone back to the previous editions and we have learned. We have gone upstream and invited limited partners. We went downstream and invited future generation of fund managers. We went sidewards because in order to make a change happen, to make the economy more resilient, to strengthen our human capital, we need like-minded. That's why I'm very happy that we have so many men in this room. Applause also there. Because it's not always given. And this is why this is the largest empowering equity event we have ever had. It's an amazing number of participants we are getting together. But that is not the determinant of success. The determinant of success, what is success? Success is all the initiatives what we are doing. And it starts with genderless investment under InvestEU. It continues with the new mentoring program that you just mentioned. 15 mentees will be mentored by top-tier fund managers. It's amazing. We have the Academy of students in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, who are hopefully the future generation of fund investment partners, managers, and so on. Could you please stand up so that everybody sees you? I don't know whether you can see these colleagues, but here they are, our students. Thank you so much. Now, today we are talking about equity, but we should not forget that this is a whole. It's a holistic view on financial markets, what we need. And that is why I'm also very glad about the study that was published last week about debt and gender financing. You will find it on our website, by the way, because it's based on data that we can make a change. We need, unfortunately, still a justification to go ahead. Now, moving the needle, moving the dial, it's a long-term effort. These were a few examples that we are doing, but without you on the ground, we could not make a change. And that's why I'm so happy that we have here Maite, Emilia, and Nora, who can tell about their journey, about what type of game changers these 3 wonderful women are with their teams. Would you please come to the stage? And we can start our discussion. Now, in fact, I wanted to surprise you. We were learning about these invisible women who had to make, this wonderful music in the past. And visibility starts often with the name. That's why I will ask the 3 colleagues here, why did you choose the name of your fund the manner you did? Why do we have Everita Capital? Why do we have Ship to Business? And why Unconventional Ventures? What is behind? What is the thinking behind? Who would like to start?
Yes. So I go first. Well, thank you for that. Good morning, everyone. What a joy to be here in this community. Well, Unconventional Ventures has a lot of emphasis on our strategy still being perceived as unconventional. And I think we discussed what we wanted to do with so many investors and LPs that their first reaction was, well, that was a little bit unconventional. So our aim is actually, I shared earlier, our aim is to become conventional ventures when this is the norm and not unconventional.
Thank you. What about you?
So Everita Capital comes from a word veritas, which means truth. And the first democratic president of Czechoslovakia after the communism fell, Václav Havel, has a famous quote which says, "The truth and love will prevail." And I've encountered so many doubtful LPs who didn't really believe that diversity brings better results and were questioning all kinds of studies that we were trying to present, whether they were Western European or from our region. And I always told myself, the truth will show and the truth will prevail. So when we were launching the second fund, I said, okay, we have to incorporate that word into the mission. And then adding E at the start is related to the first fund's name, which was Espira Investments. And I wanted to make a connection to the first fund. And then Everitas was a bit too long, so we just cut the S at the end, and it became Everita.
Excellent. Maite.
Okay, in our case, when we launched Shift2B in 2013, our main goal was to create a better world. And we want to start a journey with our startups, entrepreneurs, investors, and partners to go from the world A that we don't like to this world B. And B represent this world. In a systemic change sector, we represent the guiding star, the world that we want to achieve, a better future, a better world for all.
How beautiful, isn't it? This is wonderful. Why did I do this? Because all those who are thinking of starting their own business, think about the name. It's like giving a birth to a child. It's very important. Now, Emilia, may I start with you? You have been shaking up the, let's say, the environment and ecosystem in the Central and Eastern European countries. And you have had a very bold diversity agenda, in fact. As you said, it was quite a hardship to explain what you want to do and that there's a case for it. What would you say is the one initiative that rewired the system?
So I would maybe emphasize the initiative that was very impactful for our fundraising currently, because when we started with the first fund, the whole agenda was about investing in companies that have women in leadership roles, which means supporting companies that are led, co-led by women or managed. And that was already revolutionary for Central Europe, just to even think about it. Some people said there's not enough companies you could fund. And we had to prove there's a long pipeline of companies. They are just not really visible to the male investors because they don't have networks into those communities, so they don't see these opportunities. And the agenda was firstly only about identifying those companies. Second stage came when we had portfolio and we realized there was so much talent in those companies that was not really developed and recognized. So working with female managers from the mid-level up, bringing them up to the top level was another new initiative, I would say, that was not really done commonly in other private equity funds. And what I mentioned as being kind of a change maker in our current fundraising for the second fund, we just closed a few weeks ago, we hit a stale mode in fundraising, and despite having track record, despite proving the strategy, it was still not easy to convince larger institutional investors from the region to invest. And then I got inspired by Ellevest in the US. You might have heard of the platform that started as an education for women, financial literacy, that turned into a wealth management company currently managing over $2 billion. And the founder, Sally Krawcheck, mentioned in the podcast that she could not raise money, and she had a Wall Street background, 20 years, wealth management, great network. And at the end, she crowdsourced from the female community that got educated through Elevest. And I say, okay, that's a great idea, because we have a great community. We have a lot of women who believe in the mission, believe in the strategy. Let's go with women as a, not crowdsourcing, because you cannot crowdsource for private equity fund, but basically create a community. And that's what I started doing. And we held meetings with groups of women that had something in common, whether it was a Slovak group, or it was the mothers from the school of my children, or it was the business circle women, like any circle of women that I had. I would hold meetings and present what we do, kind of positioning as a deal sourcing channel. Hey, you have friends, refer them to us if there are opportunities. But what happened, these women became more interested to become investors. And that's how we basically moved the needle and managed to raise the fund. So we have more than half of the investors are actually female in our fund. And I would say that triggered a huge interest in broader circles of private bankers and other people that are now realizing that there's much more potential in the female networks.
First, thank you very much. Congratulations for the closure.
Thank you.
And what did we learn? We learned that you have to network, really, and make your case and promote the idea.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. That's why these type of events are also very good. Now, Maite, back to you. We learned that Ship2B, it agitates for change, correct? You want to agitate change. Now, what would be the most radical lever that you are pulling behind the scenes in order to make the change in Spanish ecosystem?
Okay, thank you, Marjut, for the question. In Ship2B, some people think that we invest only in startups, but what we really try is to change the systems where we invest, including the venture capital world. And why it's important to change the venture capital world? Allow me to give you a little spoiler. If we really want to achieve a better future, we need to reshape the venture capital world towards a more impact driver model. And for a more impact driver model, a model that allows to align better risk, impact, and economic returns. And we could only achieve this if we promote that more women go to this sector. Women as a LP, GP, entrepreneurs, and so on. And why I think that, how I arrived to this conclusion. After nearly 20 years investing in social business, do you have to think that when I started, more or less 20 years ago, no one's know about the concept of impact investing? It was a very young concept. After all these years and hard work by part of the impact community, now we achieve more than 1.6 trillion in assets. And we move our large community of startups, entrepreneurs, and impact investors. Although we are very far to achieve the ESDGs, the target. Now, we are more or less in track to achieve near 70% of the SDGs target that we think that we could achieve in 2013. We have a lot of work to do. And I think that we are so far for two reasons. The first one is the kind of investment and the solutions that the impact investors are finance now. Social and environmental problems are very complex. And we need to invest in a more holistic and systemic solutions. That's why entrepreneurs and investors need to move from and include this more systemic lens in our investment decision and investment thesis. And the second reason is velocity. We need to go more fast. And we only could do that if we could to move more quickly the capital sector and the venture capital sector. And why the venture capital sector? Because I think that the venture capital have a lot of power to decide how we use the technologies. Because through the investment thesis, investors decide if we want to use the technologies for solve social and environmental problems, or only to launch new products that damage or are very superficial, like addictive gaming or social media filters that allow all of us seems or looks more attractive. This is the kind of investments that we need? No. With all of the social and environmental problems that we have, because climate change is a reality, and the problems that we have with vulnerable people, that elderly, children, and so on, what we need is to canalize all the power of these technologies, all the power of these talent and entrepreneurs to create and to build social business that use these technologies to solve these problems. That's why we need to transform the venture capital. That's why we need to make a venture capital that go beyond economic returns and achieve also impact. And why women it's important? Because we need to change the leaderships. We need to change the kind of investors and the leaders that we have in this venture capital. We need to avoid this concept of financial sharks. And sometimes I remember the Wall of Street, the Leonardo DiCaprio and his role in this film. We need to avoid this kind of investors, and we need to promote a more humanistic, conscious, and impact driver investor. And here women are key, because a lot of studies show that women are better aligning our decisions, investment decisions, and leader behavior to align our values and also money. We are on better money and meaning, and that's why having a more balanced teams in the venture capital world is necessary.
Thank you so much. I think this was very, very important. We are not only talking about environment and gender, we are talking about ethical values and the long-term sustainability of our system. And I think this is where you all join forces and where we have to make more work. And if I may say, if we are a pain in the neck sometimes in the EIF, that's why we really go into the teams and we want to understand what are the values as well. So that is very, very important. It starts with the leadership behavior in the team, isn't it? Yes.
That's why I hate when people talk about gender and we have a problem with gender gaps. And this is not a women problem. This is not a gap problem. This is not an inclusion problem. This is a problem that we have as humanity, as a society, because we need to reshape the economy. We need to reshape the financial sector. We need to include values like human, like conscious, and be more aware about how we take the decisions and how these decisions that we have change the world and change the picture. If we want to achieve a better world, we need women.
Exact. Thank you so much. If you want to add anything, please go ahead. Otherwise, I go to Nora, because Nora, you do have a reputation. Nora,
so bad.
Because Nora is indeed backing underrepresented founders. And here I would like to ask you, following all this, what would be your top no-compromise rule which you, when you think about diversity in venture, so where would you never make a compromise?
So I actually have 3 non-negotiables. One, diversity is a strategy. It's not niche or nice to have. It's a business strategy. Secondly, data meets lived experiences. It doesn't matter how much data we have, and I wish that these reports would matter, but at the end of the day, it's about the lived experiences into that, because that's going to shape your reality and your perspectives on the problem or the solutions that you're trying to build. And that would only create what is needed in the startup ecosystem, namely resilience, right? And then the third is absolutely non-negotiable, that's tokenism. And I'm apologies for, I hope that's part of the repetition, I'm very transparent. In the gender lens investing conversation, we need to be honest about what we mean, because from my perspective, it's a lot of white diversity. And the ecosystem consists of so many more women. And the lack of intersectionality is actually hurting us, because then we're mimicking the same behaviors by only addressing as white women and men in this ecosystem. So I've actually walked away both from many LPs on the table as well as partnerships or initiatives that doesn't understand this and see this as a great PR line than the bottom line. And as an investor, my job is to be ahead of the curve, not behind the curve. So I would say those are my non-negotiables.
Excellent, thank you. Thank you very much. Anything that you would like to add on non-negotiables? No, okay. Now, let's assume we are in an elevator. The elevator is an old one. It takes you, let's say, 2 minutes to get up, okay? I'm an LP, I'm not at all convinced about gender lens investment. I'm not convinced that we need to increase the strength, enhance the strength of our human capital. I don't believe that we can make the whole place more resilient, more sustainable, better place to live. What would be your speech? 2 minutes elevator speech to me.
2 minutes?
2 minutes. You get 2 minutes. It's an old
I'm
elevator.
looking at the time now. Okay, 2 minutes. No, I'm just kidding. I've had those opportunities many times. And first of all, I would say, so if I know that this market is really untapped and there's a huge potential, and what I know, going back to the data, is that this market overperforms by 3.2x. They also have a resilience in terms of creating, excuse me, so many languages in my head, faster pace to profitability. Why are you not in that space? And then they say, oh, what space? Well, gender lens investing is one thing, but looking at women, people of color, the opportunity is incredible, because did you know that over 70% of all IPO'd businesses are founded by so-called underrepresented or underinvested founders? And the silence says everything.
Thank you so much. Now, this is your daily. Emilia was just explaining that he has been, until, let's say, 2 weeks ago, until you closed, you have been making this elevator speech. So what do you change anything?
So luckily the women get it, so this is an easier sell. Many men get it as well, but the most hardcore people I address with facts and business data. You cannot talk too much about decision making and creating a more inclusive culture and all that. This is all obvious, but it's not like the main kind of pitch that I use if I talk to like the most skeptical people. So I look at it from the business perspective, and if you invest in companies that are in the consumer market, which is a huge waste, like it's a huge industry. Yeah? Consumers is very broad. It can be products, but it can be services like education and healthcare. And in all of those, women make decisions. In 70 to 80% of the decisions are made or influenced by women. So if you are acting in that industry and your decisions, the management team is doing, are not actually influenced by women, because you have no representation of women in those meetings, how are you serving the best your clients? How are you recognizing the opportunities in those industries if you don't really understand who the client is? And I think that that resonates very well. We know that women choose the schools, the education, the doctors, the healthcare facilities. This is obvious, and these are the sectors where we are very active: healthcare, education, consumer as well, business services. And I see this really resonates with a lot of people, no matter how skeptical they are about diversity. Another aspect that I use also is the fact that they are missing out on some of the investments. If the investment team, like let's say they invest into a private equity fund that has no women in the investment committee, they will miss out on a lot of opportunities in the market, because again, they don't recognize that there is a market for certain products and services that maybe women are interested in. Let's talk about like women's health, which is like a very under-researched, underfunded, underinvested segment. I see a lot of initiatives in treating menopause, recognizing the symptoms of menopause, hormonal disbalances that 20 years later lead to Alzheimer and all kinds of osteoporosis and other diseases. These are not really even discussed, so women don't even know they could get a solution and feel better and be more productive in their daily lives. And there's no solution because nobody recognized that need, nobody invested into that space. So that's what we are trying to basically talk out loudly, that there have to be women on the investor side so that products and services that are required will be funded. And my mission has been also to get other funds hire more women. I don't see it as a competition if somebody else comes up with the same strategy. I see it as like a positive knock-on effect of what we are trying to do. And we've seen some of the funds in the region hire more women, but still it's not enough, I think. And having this community of level 20 you might be familiar with, that started in the UK, whose mission is actually to increase the representation of investment professionals to 20% in senior roles, started when they were at 5%, I think, the European average. It is actually to nurture more talent in private equity and bring more female investors to the investment committees. And I'm really happy to see that there is a group of students here, female potential fund managers in the future, because I think this is needed to deliver the products and services to markets that are needed.
Thank you so much. Now, women's health. We also have here a fund manager who is raising a fund for children's health. I think it's also, we women, we think about our children, but men do also. I think we have a really interesting, interesting fund managers here, specified in very specified in the areas. Maite, what about your elevator speech? I don't believe in anything of this.
I don't know if I could that more than Emilia and Nora, but what I say is, okay, I don't need to convince you. Why? Because today women possess or manage 32% of the private wealth, global private wealth is in the hands of women. At its reach by 2030, 40%. Maybe I don't need men.
Thank you.
Maybe I need more women. And after that, I could use all these issues and arguments. I think that we have a lot of arguments. Okay, we can change. Who don't want to change their mind? I think that we need to change and lead this transformation with more women and with those men that embrace the more feminine energy, that there are a lot of, I know a lot of men, investor men, that like me believe in a better world, believe in a different venture capital, and I think that we need to work more with them and less with these financial sharks that are, that represent the words of the financial sector, I think. And I'm so happy to work with Maramis. Maramis is the managing managing partner of Montana, the children fund that we are launching with him in Ship2B Ventures. We need more GPs like him and more LPs because we have in our community a lot of LPs with this sensibility and with this and they are looking for this a more humanistic approach to the venture capital.
This is wonderful.
Can I just
together
add
we can
something?
do that.
We spent a lot of time educating investors, right? And it's exhausting in many ways because you just want to get to the core of what you're doing and understanding that there is still so much to kind of demystify, debunk when it comes to gender-lens investing or investing in underrepresented founders in general. So I would actually argue, and I think our statistics show that as well, that the daughter effect is real. If you haven't heard about the daughter effect, and we actually have followed up on our LPs on that as well, the research states that if a man has a firstborn that is a daughter, or you have several kids, but the oldest ones are daughters, then they are 73% more likely to make decisions that come from more of a gender-balanced, value-driven position than other men. So that actually makes me very excited and happy, and thinking that maybe then am I spending my time with the wrong type of decision makers, because they might need fund 2, 3, and 4 before they're ready to understand this. But the fathers, I would love to meet you all.
Thank you, because now, from now on we will have to ask, each time we have a new kind of partner that we are talking to, how is your family situation? We will ask it.
Yeah.
Then we know already the starting point. Now, but before I go to the last question, are there any questions in the audience to the wonderful ladies here? No. Yes, there is one. Please. You will get the mic, just a second.
I would love to come back to your 2-minute speech, because exactly this kind of situation I had. I am really excited about how would you answer it. Because the same, more or less the same quotation, I said, okay, 30 or 40% of wealth of the world is private. And one of the LP answered, yes, but they are all daughters, or they were married with the husband. They did not earn this money. And this is exactly the flip side of the chart. Yes, because look about the top 10 Forbes, the richest, they are daughters, they are women married to or ex-women of very rich people. You know how we are going to change this world, how the companies of women being so big, like let's say Google or even a KKR or Goldman, founded by a woman. What can we do about it?
That is a tough question. Do you have an answer?
Well, I have one thought around that. I wish I had answers, but I have a thought. So the change theory means that we don't need 100% of anything to change. We don't even need 51% to change something. It's really about, the community. And the community in the change theory says we only need 3.5% of believers to change behaviors, policy, rules, laws, so on and so forth. So my focus, if I were thinking about, I need to change this entire system, I would kind of break down of the energy I would need for that. But when I think in reality, it's 3.5% of something. And systems are people. I think we forget that systems are people. It's not a fixed thing that cannot be changed or needs to replace. We need to change the people. So if we know that less than 2% of funding are going towards female founders, and when it comes to ethnic diverse founders, that's 0.7% in Europe. That's both men and women. If I think about that and needing to go to the 3.5, it's more manageable, right? So try to think about the 3.5 and just start, with that little engine. And we are a community. I mean, the changes that we've seen since we started 2018, 2019, to where we are now, 2025, don't make the media or politicians make you believe. It's a reaction of their seeing that this is slowly but surely going forward, not backwards.
Exactly, we are going forwards. We have another question. And it goes step by step.
Thank you very much for your interventions. I'm Nina Reinhardt, starting a Femtech fund. Women's health is the basis for the success of women, I believe. The question I would have is that I see a lot of collective obsessions we have that don't serve us. One of them is, this incredible admiration for unicorns. Unicorns are a very rare thing, we know, and maybe they don't always bring the impact we want, maybe the returns, huge returns to some investors. But how can we de-emphasize this so that we can put more emphasis on other ventures and other exits that are not necessarily these absolute outliers out there?
Who would like to reflect on that? Do unicorns compared to other venture
Well,
capital
we don't
funds?
invest into startups, so our fund, Everita, focuses on SME companies and profitable SME companies, so it's more of a private equity fund. And we do encounter sometimes firms that have originally been backed by VC funds, and turn out they're not going to be unicorns, so they are not interesting anymore for their VCs. They are not zombies yet, so they're not killing them, but they're somewhere in the middle. And they get a little bit stuck because they can't raise more money with the last financing like valuation, and there's not enough support from the VCs because portfolio is too big and they are not a priority if they're not on a unicorn track. And what we try to do is kind of try to find opportunities for secondaries where we can talk to the founders, give them a vision for this different strategy that doesn't have to lead to the unicorn, that is more sustainable. They are on a path to profitability, but at the same time creating impact with what they do and trying to align the interests around that with also the original investors in those funds and reset kind of the whole cap table and motivation scheme for the next phase. This is where we come to for these kind of companies. Quite often we hear from those founders that they felt real pressure to just grow revenues no matter what. They overhired, they overinvested, and they knew this was not the best way, but they felt this was what investors expected from them. And I feel very sorry when I see these cases because I don't think this is going to bring the unicorn results. You know, not every company has to be unicorn to be successful investment or make an impact. So I would more appeal to the VCs who are so hungry for the unicorns to actually rethink, you know, you can make very good returns with companies that don't achieve unicorn status, you know. So I think it became overhyped topic in the last years.
Thank you so much. Nora? No, sorry.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think we're going back to the unicorn status because of AI. And through these years, I mean, we've heard the zebra, we heard the, you know, trying to portray another picture of what is a good growth company. I've even had the camel was someone who's trying to say, like, that's a great resemblance to something. So I think we're going to go through the zoo. But at the end of the day, I truly believe that what is a great return? And then if people are talking about unicorns, ask them, was it growth at all cost? Because that they know, and they don't want that.
Thank you so much. Sorry. Yes, Maite, please.
No, I think that it's not only in impact venture capital, but also in the venture capital, conventional venture capital, investors no more looks for unicorns, because what we see in the last years is that this is not the best model.
Thank you so much. Now we have overrun by 1 minute and 40 seconds. I think we are very brave, isn't it? Thank you so much. Thanks to the panelists. Thank you.